Hey everyone, Matt here, aka Thanatos, and today I'm going to be doing a Green Lantern collection video for you. This collection consists of mostly Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, Silver Age to Modern Age. I do not have any Golden Age Green Lantern with Alan Scott. I've been trying to avoid the Golden Age comics because that is a very expensive rabbit hole to jump into. So, and growing up, Hal Jordan was my favorite Green Lantern. So I've kind of gone back and picked up a lot of his keys, as well as the other human Green Lanterns. So I'm going to go from the most recent books that are considered key issues down to my oldest comic, and I will be doing raw copies followed by my graded books. And I've brought along with me my little team of Green Lantern characters. So yeah, here we are, ready to go. So starting off, here is Green Lantern number 20 from the New 52. It is the last book that Geoff Johns wrote for the Green Lantern series, and did not know I actually had this comic until recently when I was going through my Green Lantern long box. I didn't realize this comic was actually rising in value. It is the first appearance of Jessica Cruz, and this is the sketch variant, which I'm pretty happy that I picked up now. I might have to look into getting this graded at some point. So if you're looking for Jessica Cruz, this is it. You can still get the regular cover on eBay and stuff for a fairly decent price. But I guess, just like all comics, the speculation is whether or not she'll one day appear in a TV show or movie. I do not have, I probably do have Simon Baz's first appearance. I did not pull that out, mostly probably because I'm not his biggest fan. But I am Mr. Sinestro's biggest fan. He is my favorite comic book character. Both Marvel, DC, doesn't matter. He is it. And this is Green Lantern number 1, the sketch variant 1 in 200 by Doug Mahnke. But it's a fantastic cover, and this is a comic that I pick up every opportunity I can. If it is a good value. This does not sell nearly as high as the Batman number 1 sketch variant from DC the New 52. So I do pick it up quite often. Here is another first appearance of William Hand as the Black Hand. Figured I'd pop this one out. Not a very well-known villain, but quite prevalent in the Green Lantern comics, and obviously a big part of the Blackest Night arc. And then here I'm going to put these two up together because they are the same comic. And this is a key issue that I can't help but buy every time I see as well. So I do have quite a few issues of Green Lantern number 25 in both the variant Gary Franks edition, which I think is a 1 in 10, and the regular cover on the right. This is the first appearance of the different emotional spectrum leaders, specifically the Red Lantern Atrocitus and the Orange Lantern Larfleeze. This is their first appearance. The Gary Franks variant is a little harder to come by and a little more expensive, but you can still get it for, if you're patient, probably about $20. But they're all over eBay. And then the regular cover you can find probably in your back issues bins, maybe even dollar bins. But just in case, you never know. Atrocitus is a pretty big villain. He's in Injustice 2. So if by chance these guys end up being villains in the Green Lantern Corps movies, I imagine these comics will probably go up in value, which is all speculation, of course. Next up, we have Green Lantern number 48. Obviously, between Green Lantern 25 and Green Lantern 48 from the previous volume, I'm skipping a whole lot. But I'm trying to just stick with key issues here. There's obviously Green Lantern 50 and Hal Jordan's whole stint as Parallax. But here we have Green Lantern 48, which is the first appearance of Kyle Rayner. A lot of people's favorite Green Lantern. He did have a very, very long run. I didn't read any of Kyle Rayner's stories until after I was a big Hal Jordan fan, but I imagine this was around the time that I was younger, and if I had read Green Lantern when I was a child, like a little kid, I imagine Kyle Rayner would actually be my favorite Green Lantern at the moment, but that is not the case. And I'll tell you why when I show you another comic here in a little bit. Here we have the Green Lantern Corps premiere issue number 201, and this is another first appearance key issue of the Green Lantern Corps, and most importantly, the big man himself, Kilowog. He does have really strange arms in this cover art, but still awesome. And you can also pick both of these covers up, both of these comics up for a very cheap price. Kyle Rayner, I mean, you never know, he's a pretty main Green Lantern now, the White Lantern, and you also have Kilowog, who's quite prevalent in all the Green Lantern comics, as well as the other Green Lantern Corps members. But you can pick these copies up if you want for probably $20 on eBay or anywhere. Here we have a fairly big key issue. This is one of my favorite comics to own. Green Lantern number 87. I showed you this in my deployment haul, and I won this at auction for a very good price, I think under $80, and it's probably in fine plus condition. Doesn't matter. Such a cool comic. And I didn't read a lot of these old Neil Adams story comics until recently, and this one is very, very unique. A lot of these older books probably would not get the okay to print these days because they are just so intense, and I'm sure they wouldn't want to offend anybody anymore. But this Green Lantern number 87 definitely has some good lessons learned in it for Hal Jordan. Next up, I don't know if I mentioned it, but first appearance of Jon Stewart. I can't remember if I told you that or not, as a Green Lantern. And here we have on the left Green Lantern number 59, first appearance of Mr. Guy Gardner, who is my least favorite Green Lantern, human Green Lantern. I do think he had a really cool stint as a Red Lantern, and I kind of wish they would just keep it that way because there are too many Earth Green Lanterns, including, now that they've included Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz, it's just a lot. And so it would be nice for them to diversify a little bit. But this is the first appearance of Guy Gardner, and this comic, it was actually the first comic that I ever bought on Comic Connect, and I got it for a great deal. I wanted, the guy accepted my best offer, and it only has 2 issues, which are, depending on how you look at it, pretty big. This little check mark here, and it has 2 extra staples, which make no sense to me considering this comic is attached to the staples. The centerfolds are fine, but it has 2 added staples. But other than that, this would probably be a VF or better Green Lantern 59. Both of these books can be had for under $100 at the moment if you are patient. Green Lantern 59 is a little cheaper than Green Lantern 87. Obviously Jon Stewart's a more visible, and he's in the TV shows and I think he is confirmed for the Green Lantern Corps movie. So I think there's a lot of room to grow for these comics if you're looking for an investment book. Nothing crazy, but definitely worth picking up because chances are they will go up in value, which means they will be more expensive to buy later. So I'm going to move these aside. These are my raw books. Next up, we have my graded copies, starting with Green Lantern Rebirth number 6. This is graded at a 9.8 qualified. It is qualified because this was my first ever submission. I actually submitted this at a con in Kansas City, I believe, when I was stationed up there, or stationed up in Omaha. And it was the first comic that I probably would say I collected. I had bought comics before, and but this was the first time that I bought something with the intention of not reading it. Mostly because I had already bought the trade paperback of this and I had read it. But this series, the Green Lantern Rebirth 1 through 6, was the first comic, Green Lantern comic I actually read in 2004, 2005, when they came out, and it's what got me into comic books. It was kind of strange. My mom actually gave me she told me, yeah, I could only read one comic book character, and that was it. So I chose, for some reason, Green Lantern, who had just started the Rebirth. So I picked up those first 6 issues, and the whole premise of Hal Jordan getting a second chance at being a good guy after his large stint as Parallax was just so awesome to me. And I loved the artistry of Ethan Van Sciver, and Geoff Johns' story was just so good. So when I saw this back in, I don't know, probably like 2009 on eBay, I bought it for $50. It is the Dynamic Forces copy, and it was signed by Ethan Van Sciver and Geoff Johns in 2008 or 2005, sorry. And when I had this graded, I don't think CVCS even existed, but I'll probably be sending this back in to get VSP'd. Because right now it's got the qualified grade, and it just says 2 names and 37 out of 50 written on cover in marker. Which, so I have this displayed, but I would prefer if it actually said more than just 2 names. Because Geoff Johns' signatures are a lot harder to come by these days, as he has become, you know, a bigwig with DC, so he doesn't make too many comic book signature appearances. So it's really cool to have, and but I mean this comic really is the reason why I'm a Green Lantern fan. Which leads me to my next book. This is a book that I bought very recently. Actually, I got it last week. So this is Green Lantern number 76, the first of the Green Lantern Green Arrow stories by Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams. And man, this is a beautiful, beautiful comic. It does have, it was kind of strange to me considering the qualified grade on this Green Lantern Rebirth number 6, but this comic has a CGC Universal grade, and it says Neil Adams written on the first page in marker. But it did get a 4.5 with off-white pages. I don't know if it's because the grade was too low already that it didn't really matter that the name was written on the first page, or because it wasn't on the cover. Regardless, very happy to have it. I'll probably eventually send this into CBCS to get the VSP and maybe get it pressed for a potential grade bump. But for now, just super, super excited to have this in my collection. Very, very big key issue, obviously, in the Green Lantern world. And here we're going to get into my old comics, my last 3, the 3 big ones that you guys saw in my video. Here we have my Green Lantern number 7, the first appearance of Sinestro. I've been really lucky with my eBay finds lately. not lately, but for a while. When I first started deciding I was going to start buying the older Green Lantern books, I practically knew nothing about collecting. I just kind of bought it, didn't really understand grades, and I bought all these raw. Well, not obviously not the Green Lantern, Green Arrow, but these next three I bought raw. Green Lantern number 7 I picked up for probably about $150, and had it graded. Came back a 4.0 with off-white to white pages, and notates up here: first appearance and origin of Sinestro, and a Weaponers of Cord and Pieface appearance. Obviously, as a Sinestro fan, this is a huge comic for me, and I really hope that they bring him back in the movies. And I love the storyline between him and Hal Jordan. Just the mentorship and the friendship that they had, and I don't know, just their relationship is very unique and very makes for a great story. Next up, we have my Green Lantern number 1, also graded by CBCS as a 4.0. This came back with cream to off-white pages, and it is the origin of Green Lantern retold, first appearance of the Guardians of the Universe, and first Hal Jordan series of his own, but of another comic that I bought raw. I won this in an auction for I think a little over $500, and it was the first book I've ever spent. Obviously, more than 500 is a big number for anyone, and I actually initially had buyer's remorse on it because I didn't know whether or not this was going to come back restored, or if I just threw money away. But luckily, he actually had it marked as a 4.0 raw, and he did a pretty good job at eyeballing it. So it came back a 4.0. Very happy with it. However, both of these will be going back to get rid of the rivets. I'm not a big fan of this CBCS rivet label. I do prefer their new label much more. Which leads me to my last comic. I'm going to put this down real quick. I guess I'll move this over. Surprisingly enough, over the course of time, I won this book from the same guy who sold me Green Lantern number 76. Last up, Showcase number 22, the first appearance of Silver Age Green Lantern, an origin of Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. Also the first appearance of Abin Sur and Carol Ferris. I bought this on Reddit while I was deployed, and had it shipped to my wife, who had it immediately sent off to get graded. I was terrified that it would come back restored or missing something, so very nerve-wracking for me, but it came back a 3.0 with cream to off-white pages, and it is the pride and joy of my entire collection. I'm very happy to have it. For Silver Age, this is the number 1 Green Lantern comic you can have, and with the future movies coming out, I'm glad. I mean, it helped me. Thank you, Ryan Reynolds, for ruining Green Lantern the movie, because a lot of these books would probably be out of reach for me. So glad that worked out. But this book came back, and it is quite fantastic. I'm not too sure if you can see it. It does have tanning on the edges, but other than that, really nice copy. Super happy to have it. And real quick, wanted to give a shout out. By the way, those are all of my Green Lantern keys. Wanted to give a shout out to CBCS forum user Crazy Juan for giving me these Martin Nodell signed cards that he got when he was younger. Just a random act of kindness and super awesome of him. I'm so happy to have these. These will be definitely a big part of my Green Lantern collection. Thank you so much. And that's it, guys. So there's my Green Lantern collection. If you aren't a Green Lantern fan, I would definitely suggest picking up Rebirth from 2005 and giving it a chance. You might fall in love and never look back. Anyway, have a great day, guys. Leave a like if you want, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.